Welcome back to the Lumiose Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we're going to be talking about Terastal, because I realized with the conversation I had with someone recently that I have not done a theory video on what exactly the Terastal phenomenon is, which is wild, because that's like the whole gimmick this time around. So like, I really should have touched on that already, and I haven't. So today, that's exactly what we're doing. We are talking about what the Terastal phenomenon is, like how it works. Obviously, the short answer, you know this if you've played Scarlet and Violet, is Terapagos. But there's a long answer. There's the how Terapagos does it, how he pulls it off, right? So first off, let's just get into the very basics of what Terastal is. Terastal is where a Pokemon will be able to change its type in battle. Now, this works a little bit differently from type changes we've seen in the past, because we have had type changes in the past. We've had abilities like Protean or Mimicry that can change your typing. We've had moves like Camouflage or Soak, Force Curse, Trick or Treat that can change a Pokemon's typing. And even evolution and form changes can change a Pokemon's typing, right? Like when Eevee evolves, it changes typing. And when Meloetta changes between its two forms, it changes typing. So type change isn't anything new to Pokemon, but Terastal's type changing works a little bit different. And we're going to get into how. First off, the biggest way Terastal's type change works differently is that the Pokemon still has benefits from its previous typing. So for example, if I have a Pikachu and I Terastalize it into a water type, Pikachu is now defensively a water type. So it will receive like super effective damage from electric type moves and from grass type moves, but it will also resist things like a water type, like it will resist water type moves and fire type moves and ice type moves, but it still has the same type attack bonus or stab of its electric type moves. And what this is, for those who don't know, is a Pokemon gets a boost to moves of its same type, right? Like, so Staraptor, a normal and flying type Pokemon, gets a little boost to its normal type moves and its flying type moves. So Pikachu, an electric type, gets a boost to its electric type moves like Thunderbolt or Volt Tackle. When it terastalizes into a water type, it now also has the same type attack bonus, a stab for water type moves. So if it knows Surf, it will get that same type attack bonus for Surf. But it will also get that for its electric type moves still, because Pikachu was originally an electric type. So Pikachu will now get the stab for water moves, but will also still keep the stab for Thunderbolt for Volt Tackle, right? Then also, if you Terastalize a Pokemon into its same type, so if I Terastalize Pikachu into an electric type, it gets an additional stab on top of its already existing stab. So that's very important to note. That's one big difference between Terastal type change and other type changes we've seen in the franchise. Then you also have the stellar typing. That is completely different. The stellar typing only exists within Terastal, right? That is not something that I can just find a wild Pokemon that is going to be the stellar type. I can find a wild Pokemon that has the stellar Terra type and catch that and Terastalize it into a stellar type, but there is no stellar type just out there in the wild outside of Terastal. So obviously that is something very different about Terastal from type changes as well. The stellar Terra typing, it gives a boost, a stab boost to every single move of the Pokemon's once, every single type of move rather. So if my Pikachu's moveset is Thunderbolt, Volt Tackle, Surf, and Iron Tail, then when I Terastalize Pikachu into the stellar typing, it will, the first time I use Surf, it will get a same type attack bonus to Surf. Then I use Iron Tail, it will get a same type attack bonus to Iron Tail. Then I use Thunderbolt, and it'll get a same type attack bonus to Thunderbolt. However, if I then go back and use Surf, I've already gotten the same type attack bonus. It's not going to give it to me again. Likewise, if I have used Thunderbolt and then I go and click Volt Tackle, I already got my same type attack bonus for an electric move. So I'm not going to get it for Volt Tackle. So that's how Stellar works a little bit differently. And it still stays defensively whatever the Pokemon originally is. So like Chien-Pao, an Ice and Dark type, when it is Terastalize into the stellar typing, it is still 4 times weak to fighting moves. It is still weak to steel, to fairy, to fire, to rock, etc., etc. So I say all this just to say that clearly Terastal's different from past type changes. So it's not just like the type changes we've seen in the past. So the question is, what exactly is it? Because all of this is very relevant to what this is. Well, I've actually done a couple theory videos, and I think I've touched on this subject in those theory videos, but either way, I wanted to give this its own dedicated video. But I've talked about how Terapagos has reality-changing powers. Reality is everything, right? Like, reality is the when, the what, the where, the how, all of that. And Terapagos controls all of that. There's, a lot of reports that Terapagos does time travel because the paradoxes and the professors being brought in and the kind of post-credit scene, if you will, for Scarlet and Violet. But it's so much more than that. By saying that Terapagos is time-based is greatly discrediting this guy because he is so much more than time. Paradox Pokemon are stated to be from alternate timelines, so Terapagos is bringing them in from other timelines. So if this is the timeline, time travel is moving across that line. Terapagos is going to another line, which is unheard of. I mean, that's crazy. That's totally different. Also, Terapagos shows other reality bending capabilities, like when it is at full health in its Terastal form, it will receive not very effective damage from any move. So Terapagos is a normal type Pokemon, which means that it is weak to fighting type attacks. However, if I use close combat on a full health Terastal form Terapagos, it will say not very effective, because Terapagos is literally changing reality, changing the laws of nature in the Pokemon world, changing physics in the Pokemon world. Ordinarily, it is a given. It is a law, just like Newton's law and gravity and stuff that we have here in the real world. There are laws in the Pokemon world. A fire-type move will do super effective damage to a grass-type Pokemon, unless, of course, the grass-type Pokemon has something balancing that out, like the dragon typing, the fire typing, or the water typing. But a pure grass Pokemon, like, Snivy, is going to take super effective damage from a fire-type attack like Flamethrower. Terapagos is bending this. He is changing how things work. He's going, nope, not in my world. In my world, that's going to do not very effective damage when I'm at full health. So even though I'm weak to it, I'm not really weak to it. And that's exactly what the Terastal phenomenon is. It is Terapagos changing the reality of what the Pokemon is. Ordinarily, Arcanine is a fire-type Pokemon. No. Terapagos allows it to become a water-type Pokemon and still keep some of the benefits, the stab, from the fire typing. Or Terapagos will allow Arcanine to become a fire-type Pokemon when it already is one, giving it an additional power in that fire typing. Likewise, Terapagos has its own type that this Pokemon can Terastalize into. Stellar type's not supposed to be a type, not in Terapagos' world. In Terapagos' world, Stellar is a type, and your Pokemon can become it. And that's the thing. Terapagos is just changing up these Pokemon, and he's allowing for it to, change into anything Terapagos controls. And for further proof that Terapagos is indeed the one behind all this, all you have to do is look at the Terastal phenomenon. In the Terastal phenomenon, first off, with the stellar typing, there's literally a Terapagos as part of the Terastal crown, if you will. But also, even before then, even in the base game of Scarlet and Violet, so before the Indigo Disc, before Terapagos had been officially revealed, there were these little sets of eyes on the crowns of Pokemon that had Terastalized. These eyes, we now know, are the same eyes on the Terastalized Terapagos that sits on top of the stellar typing. So it was Terapagos there the whole time. Furthermore, you even have this little sound effect that plays when you Terastalize a Pokemon. I'll play it here. And that sound is actually Terapagos' cry. Give this a listen. So his cry was right there the entire time. And for the record, if that's not enough for you, then how about we just look at the fact that it states in-game that Terapagos is responsible for the Terastal phenomenon. So there's all the confirmation you need. But yeah, I wanted to lay it all out for you because I want you to know how involved with this process Terapagos is. Usually, Legendary's involvement with the gimmick has been pretty passive, right? Like, with Eternatus being tied to Dynamax, it's just coming from this energy that Eternatus happens to carry. Eternatus doesn't really need to be present for the Dynamax phenomenon. Likewise, sure, the Z crystals are connected to Necrozma and are kind of shards from him, but Necrozma doesn't need to be present for you to activate that move. But with Terapagos, it is present there. It is in the Pokemon's design. The crystals that we see throughout the game, kind of just called Terra Crystals by the fans, but I don't think they have an official name. You see these all over the place, but also specifically in the Crystal Pool and in Area 0 in Paldea. Crystal Pool in Kitakami, Area 0 in Paldea. You will see these Terra Crystals everywhere. These are extensions of Terapagos. We know that these seem to have properties as if they're alive. Like, it talks about how they're eating away into one of the research stations, and you also see them kind of growing up trees, like as if, you know, kind of like one of those invasive plants that will, like, wrap around trees and choke them out, you know? This is because they are kind of alive. They're all extensions of Terapagos, and all of this is relevant to Terastal, so stay with me here. This is what you see when the Terastal phenomenon occurs. You see Crystal take over the Pokemon, and then it gets the Terastal crown, and you see Terapagos' eyes right there, or if it's a Stellar type, you even see Terapagos itself right there. Yeah, you see Terapagos' involvement in it. That Crystal taking it over is Terapagos taking it over. Now, obviously, this isn't like a possession. Just think of it more of Terapagos having to take it over so it can lend it its power, lend it the ability to change from a fire type to a water type, or a fire type into a stellar type, or a fire type to a fire type, giving it an additional boost to its same type attack bonus moves. You know, that is what Terapagos is doing. It's just changing the reality of what it is by encasing the Pokemon in its crystals, which are all just an expansion of itself. Yeah, be sure to let me know what you think of this theory. I'm not gonna lie, I ordinarily, when I create a theory, I say I like to be humble, right? Like, I don't want to act like just because I think it's fact, right? I think a lot of theorists do that. They're like, oh, this is what I found, so that's absolutely the case, and nothing else can be the... I don't want to do that. These are all theories. But this is probably, like, one of the ones that I am most sure of, and, like, honestly, I don't feel like it's so much theory as much as it is implied fact in the game. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss all of our future videos. And until next time, I will see all of you later.